Something going.
Go ahead.
Hello, this is Rev 6 Grim.
And I'm Gamer Freak 97.
And we're here on Car Conversations. And we started this discussion that we decided that we needed to share with you. How would you react if you were kissed by a dude? If you're a dude. A straight dude. Now, let's get a little bit more detail on that. If a celebrity came up and kissed you.
Probably depend on the celebrity.
Well, I was thinking like Ryan Reynolds, if he came up and just planted a big old smacker right on your lips, only thing I would be able to do is laugh.
Yeah. If anything, you could like make a comment about it. It's like a little bit too much tongue, but otherwise, good job.
True. But then I got to thinking, I was like, well, then you have guys like Jason Momoa. He's all popular right now, Aquaman, big old buff, huge dude. If he walked up and just planted a big old kiss on your lips, I mean, my reaction, I'd be sitting there, I'd look at whoever I was with, I'd be like, you see what that fucker did? But if he turned around and he's like, what'd you say? I'd be like, yes, Daddy, might have another. Is there any other guys you could think of? Like male
Kevin Smith.
No, I think I would notice, like, well, maybe not now, but before his belly would touch me before I'd kiss him. So I'd be able to brace myself. But now he's lost all that weight, so I'm not sure if I could. It would be kind of a surprise, though. I'd be like, wow, for being Silent Bob, you sure do say a lot with those lips. I mean, it's one of those, would my beard get tangled up in his beard?
Be a little strange.
Strange.
Would it be kind of like getting piercings stuck together?
I've had some experience with that. Not personally, but I was involved in that. Because, should I go ahead and tell that story?
Sure. We got time.
When I was in college the first time, I was sitting in my dorm room. It was like 2, 3 in the morning, and I get this phone call. Now, granted, we didn't have cell phones at that point. There were cell phones, but they weren't that great. They were the block crap that would give you radiation poisoning. Yeah, like the Nokia track phones. Kids nowadays will never understand. But I got this phone call that night, and my buddy said, it's an emergency. I have to get to his house right now. And I was like, well, what the hell? Something's up. So I jumped in my Jeep. Now, I have to put this out there. My Jeep was like an old 80s model Jeep. No doors, no top. I had a vinyl top and doors, but I never had them on it. I cruise over there, knock on the door, and I hear him screaming, come in. I'm like, okay, well, what's going on? Open the door, nobody's right there. I was like, what the hell? I was looking around. He's like, we're in the bedroom. I was like, weird. What am I going to walk into? But I went ahead and walked in. And, okay, his piercing was a Prince Albert. Big old stud right through the dick. Hers, she had her clit pierced. Now, the Prince Albert he had was actually a series of like 3 piercings, so it was one right after the other. Well, the one furthest down the shaft had hooked onto her clit piercing. So it was snagged.
Talk about sticking.
Yeah. And they couldn't get it unhooked. And he wanted me there because I've been doing piercings and tattoo stuff and everything, and he thought maybe I could help him get unstuck. So I was sitting there, I was like, I really didn't want to get into it, but I put gloves on and I looked, and there was no way I was going to be able to do anything. Especially because I was laughing the whole entire time. So after we decided that I couldn't help him, I was like, well, let's take you to the ER or something. Because it's not just going to, after so many minutes, come unhooked. It's not a time-lapse crap. So, now, she's mounted on top of him, facing him.
That's a time lock.
Threw a blanket over her. She's butt-ass naked. Now, why we didn't think about them putting on shirts or anything, beyond me. They got in the passenger seat of my Jeep. Now, this is like fall time. It's cool out. It's not warm.
It was a tit-bit nipply outside.
I mean, I think she left scars on his chest from her tits rubbing on him. But we went ahead and we started going, and I noticed as I was driving, every time I'd hit a pothole or a dip very hard, he would groan in pain, and she would groan in pleasure. So automatically, I got a kick out of this. I thought it was hilarious. I probably took the longest route to the hospital as anybody possibly could. My Jeep's suspension sucked. There was almost no suspension. It just boom, boom, boom. You'd hit something, you bounce everywhere. So I was swerving to hit potholes. I thought it was awesome. That was one of the greatest nights at college without involving alcohol I've ever had. But we were sitting there going, I'd hit every way, everything I could. And I swear, she probably climaxed 3 or 4 times at least before we got to the hospital. He wasn't, because it was hurting him, but it felt good enough he stayed erect, which was probably the problem. If he would have went flaccid, it probably would have been easier to unhook. Well, we get to the ER. We go through the ER doors, and they're the automatic sliding doors. I mean, this night was perfect for me because I love seeing my friends in misery that can be funny. Not like bad misery, more like ha-ha misery. But as they were walking through the doors started shutting, and it caught their blanket, and it pulled the blanket right off of them. I couldn't do anything but laugh again. Finally, I grabbed the blanket and covered him back up. They sat down in the waiting room, which was hilarious, seeing him with his girlfriends mounted on top of him in the chair. And those waiting room chairs are kind of small, so you can't really just fit really much. This was before they had fat people chairs in there. And yes, I don't...
Fat people chairs?
Yes, fat. You know the ones that are wider, or they have the 2 seats and no armrest in the middle? I call those fat people chairs. And I used to be really fat, so I can say those things. People say, well, I'm black, I can make black jokes. Well, I used to be fat, so I can make fat jokes.
Does that mean we can both make beard jokes?
Yes.
Your beard is weird.
But went and talked to the gal at the counter and tried explaining to her as calmly and politely as I could without laughing the whole time. And she wasn't getting it. She wasn't understanding what I was trying to tell her. I was trying to be calm and be as discreet as possible.
You can't be discreet with those type of things.
And she couldn't get it. And then I got fed up with it. I was like, look, they were having sex. They have piercings on their uh-uhs. And they hooked and they can't get it undone. So they're stuck.
It's like buttons.
They're hitched together. Got a new meaning to hitching post. But they couldn't get undone.
What kind of trailer is that?
She was like, oh. She started freaking out. She turned bright red and couldn't figure out what to do. Finally, she hollered at somebody and they got him in a room.
Your live went off.
Oh. Is this live again?
I don't know. Mine's still going.
You're still going. Mine messed up. So
okay.
Well, we got him into a room. And we went ahead. I was following the doctor in. And the doctor turned to me and said, you can wait in the waiting room if you would like. Well, my response was, I'm already too emotionally invested in this situation. I can't bail out now. I have to see this through. Because it was just too funny. There was no way I was letting that go. I had to finish this.
You had to finish?
Well, I had to finish seeing what they would finish. It's one of those weird shit that you can't look away from. You're just like, oh, I gotta see that. And you don't think you'd want to see it till you start seeing it, then you're like, yeah, I really do. Call it a guilty pleasure. But
it's the weirdest porn.
It is the weirdest porn. I mean, it didn't get me hard, but it got me excited. But I followed them in. They got to looking, and they were pulling on him, pulling on her. It was hilarious. And you could tell that he was getting stiffer and stiffer. And he stopped talking as often. And his faces he was making, I was like, oh, I know what's coming.
Him.
Well, as they were finishing getting them unstuck, the doctor finally was able to get this little tool in there to cut part of one of the piercings.
Oh.
And cut the jewelry and got it off. And as he got it cleared, they popped apart. Like, literally popped. I mean, when his penis came out of his vagina, I mean, it was pop. What made it even better, both of their faces, they were doing their O face, their orgasm face. And it was just, both of them just, it was great to see those faces. But then, as it popped, I mean, he came. And it hit her, it hit the doctor, it hit him, it hit his nurse that was right there. I mean, they found themselves in a very sticky situation after the sticky situation.
Spider-Man!
Yeah, it was pretty much a flip from his dick. I mean, it was crazy to see it. I mean, I had never... Well, I'll be honest, I haven't seen that many guys come. I've seen myself come. And I've seen some porn. But I've never seen a load that big and that much. And it spread that far. I mean, he had a nice spread going there. He had a scatter shot setting or something. He's no sniper by any means.
Shotgun.
It was just poof. I mean, there was droplets all over. I'm glad I was standing on the other side of him.
First 3 rows were a splash zone.
Yeah, I was standing on the other side of him, so I didn't get hit with any of the shrapnel. But it hit, and all of them just kind of froze there for like 20, 30 seconds. They're just like, they didn't know what to do.
Oh, it got in my mouth.
But, yeah. Then they finished up and everything, gave them their paperwork to leave.
Oh.
Well, they had to get all their information afterwards because they decided to get everything took care of before they did the paperwork.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, they got everything done, and they loaned them each, well, they said loaned, but it pretty much gave them each a hospital gown to get home in. And we got loaded up in my Jeep. And I asked them before they got loaded up, I was like, did you guys make sure you cleaned up? Because I know my interior is cloth and it's absorbent, but I really don't want that. And they didn't find it funny. I kept making jokes the whole time. I got them to their place, and as they were getting out, I was like, so you guys want to have a drink or something? We can wind down now? Need a cigarette? They didn't find me funny at all. I mean, he sat in the back of the back seat of my Jeep because he was not sitting up front. She sat up front and wouldn't look at me the whole time. But we got them home, and they didn't want to hang out or anything. I don't know why. I mean, they were hanging out the whole time. And they went inside, shut the door, and I saw my opening. They forgot the blanket in the Jeep.
Oh, no.
I was like, oh, this is perfect. I knocked on the door. Nobody answered. Knocked again. Nobody answered. Well, I saw their curtains were open in the bedroom. That was the light that was on. I walked over to the window to knock on it. I glanced in. And they were having sex again. I was sitting there. I was like, oh, God. So I knock on the window, and their window wasn't locked.
Got about a minute left.
It was open just a fraction. And I slid it open partway, and I said, hey, did you guys make sure to take your piercings off before you did that?
Wow.
They glared at me. Both of them buck naked again, having sex. And I was like, by the way, you forgot your blanket. But then I was like, all right, I'm going to go. But that's the end of that story. But, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Okay. So, yeah, we're almost out of time.
All right, we're almost out of time. I'm Rev 6 Grim.
And I'm KFreak97.
Tune in next time to see if we have some more odd story or odd conversations that end in weirder stories.
Okay, so we started with kissing and ended up in sex.
That's way